Powerful, emotional testimony today as survivors of the Fort Hood massacre recalled the events of that day. In fact, several fought back tears as they talked about the chaos and the deaths. The testimony came after the judge told Nidal Hasan's standby attorneys they would not be removed from the case. Fox 4's Brandon Todd joining us now from Fort Hood. And Brandon, I have been following you on Twitter and just all the really emotional stories coming out of today.
Well, it is, and it's just heartbreaking to sit there and listen to that. A lot of us just were kind of speechless after we heard that. Of course, the day started with that motion you just mentioned, that much talked about motion that caused a heated exchange in the courtroom. Colonel Tara Osborne, the judge in this case, put an end to that motion, basically that was filed by Hasan's court-appointed legal advisors. And then as soon as she did, testimony continued. It was some of the most graphic and disturbing accounts that we have heard yet what happened during and after that mass shooting.
As court began, the judge told Major Nidal Hasan's standby defense attorneys that while they claim their role is a moral and ethical conflict, they must continue to assist Hasan in his capital murder trial. Lieutenant Colonel Chris Poppy argued with the judge, even raised his voice to her, insisting that since Hasan admitted guilt in his opening statement that lasted about 2 minutes and sounded more like a confession, that they shouldn't be forced to assist a defendant that they say is trying to get the death penalty.
They were trying to make their feelings known to the judge and apparently said they were going to file an extraordinary writ to the appellate court to try to have their duties modified.
As testimony began, much of it was through tears. Soldiers recalling that day when they say Hasan, an Army psychiatrist back in 2009, stood up in a crowded medical treatment building, yelled Allah Akbar, and started shooting at uniformed soldiers, eventually killing 13. Staff Sergeant Michael Davis testified he heard rapid-fire shooting, saw a soldier get shot, then ran for cover with others. He told the court he heard a woman screaming, my baby," then heard gunshots, and the woman was silent. At one point, Davis remembers someone yelling, "When he reloads, get him." He says as he stood up, he was shot in the back. Other soldiers testified about going from one bleeding body to the next, using their belts as tourniquets. Some of the descriptions of the wounded are too graphic to share with you. If a person was already dead or had no chance to survive, they had to move on to help others. 2 witnesses said one woman was saying she knew she wasn't going to make it, quickly giving love to her family as a civilian held her hand and encouraged her to fight.
You know, their testimony is compelling unless there was some major fallacy. He did object at one point, I guess wanted the judge to remind the witness she was under oath, but then asked no questions. So I don't know the purpose of his objection.
Again, this afternoon was filled with even more witness testimony, people describing their accounts, the smoke, the screaming, all of them having similar testimony. And of course, this all begins and picks up again tomorrow morning.